This is The Roadmap with Ted Jenkin.
Hey everybody, I'm Ted Jenkin and welcome to The Roadmap exclusively here on America's Small Business Network. Every week I try to bring you some of the brightest and best CEOs, ones that are just starting businesses, some that are growing businesses, and someday maybe you too can exit stage left. I have two great guests today. Kevin Dailey, who's the founding member of Southern Kentucky Distillery, and I've got Wes Pitchford, who I've known for a long time, who's now the CEO of Mad Monkey Sports. So welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
I want to start, by the way, I might try some of this bourbon on here along the way, but I just want to start with this because I feel like in America today, Kevin, that there are so many people who are thinking, I might want to start a bourbon distillery or I want to get into doing a craft brew company. What's it like to get one of these lifted off the ground?
Well, like any other business, that's cash intensive. We have the same problems any other business has. Our products are unique in the sense that they're fun, I think. And I'm originally from Kentucky, and in Kentucky we have bourbon and we have horses, and those are the
those are the two things.
And so a lot of people are involved in those two trades. And as you know, my former life, I worked in fuel alcohol for a long time.
Right.
And so when we sold that business, I was looking for something else to get into. I had a friend from high school call me, and he was trying to build this distillery, and he had some assets on the ground, and he had the building put up, and it sounded very interesting. So that's how I got involved with this.
But is it a super expensive business to get into? Meaning, I just imagine that if you're producing your own bourbon, you need a lot of equipment, right?
Yeah.
And so how much does it cost to just get one of these lifted off the ground?
Well, we hear about distilleries. There's one breaking ground right now in Somerset, Kentucky, for like $100 million.
$100 million to get it off the ground.
And
not for the faint of heart at home.
No.
You're probably not going to be able to afford that.
We're not a Jim Beam or a Maker's Mark, but yet we're not a small craft either. We're sort of in the middle. We produce right now. We could produce 75 barrels a day. It's about 18,000 barrels a year, roughly.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're not running full speed right now. So we just done that expansion. But I mean, as far as getting into it, we have an asset cost way less than $100 million. I mean, but we're not a small distillery either.
You mentioned that there's sort of this Class A distillery and Class B distillery. What's the main difference in that? Because you're talking about big box like Jim Beam, and then you've got craft bourbon. For people at home who know nothing about this, what does that look like?
Well, all distilleries are cool. I mean, I don't care. They all have different stuff. Yeah, they all got different things about them. I mean, growing up in Kentucky, we used to do field trips to all the big distilleries and whatnot. Right. Class A and Class B is a Kentucky legislative. It's the Kentucky ABC designates Class A and Class B distilleries. And Class A are large distilleries. Class B are smaller distilleries. And there's certain rules that apply to each that are more appropriate for the craft size. We're considered a large size just by our volume, which it kind of stinks in a way because I wish we could do some more self-distribution that the smaller guys can do, but we chose to be the size we are because we're looking forward to the future.
Well, you mentioned that big D word. I could say you could have the best product in the world, but we know that you've got to be able to have distribution. Now, because you're in Kentucky, my understanding is that distribution of alcohol is different in different states. So once you build this product, you've got all these great bourbons here, and I want to talk about a few of these, but how do you actually get it out to the public so they know that there's a new bourbon? And are you in liquor stores? Are you doing sales direct? How does that work?
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
It's I wouldn't say it's difficult because the way the law is in most states, in every state, it's a 3-tier system. Generally speaking, we're not allowed to sell directly to a bar or a liquor store. Distilleries have to always work through an intermediary, a distributor. And there may be some percent we could sell direct out of our store, but most of the time you have to go through a distributor.
It didn't used to be that way, right? At one time it was a lot of state-owned, the states actually controlled alcohol.
And there's still a few like that. But state still has control. It's their set of laws. We have to sell to a distributor. The distributor has to sell to a liquor store. And generally speaking, it's that way in every single state, except like Washington, D.C. There's a couple of them that have different kind of set up, but and it is challenging. I'll be honest with you, it's challenging because the law prohibits us to sell direct, but there's no law that makes them buy from us either. Right. So it all comes down to the original things, value proposition, product quality. We still have to sell our product.
Yeah.
Right. If a liquor store carries 75 brands of bourbon,
right,
you need that distributor to basically be able to sell on your behalf to get the distribution in that given state. Right. If you have a bad distributor, you could have the best product in the world and be stuck. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How did you decide how to price this out? I mean, I know there's all kinds of price points on. Every time I feel like I go into somebody's house, I see the high-end bourbon here, but not so much low-end bourbon. But how do you decide what price point makes sense for
the first step is always you look at competitive pricing. You just look at what's out there and what those class tiers are. Like in vodka, I kind of consider there's 3 main tiers of vodka. Bourbon's kind of the same, and then there's also a customer perception that if the price is higher, it's got to be better, and that's not always the case. But there are companies that's their strategy and it works for them. That's fine. We focus on, our logo actually says premium beverages. We work very hard to always have the best tasting beverage. Because no matter what happens in the market or what legislation, whatever we got to deal with, if people seek our product because of its flavor and its quality, then we feel like that's the first step to everything.
Now let's talk about a couple of these brands, because then I want to get into Mad Monkey and how you built the partnership and talk about Mad Monkey. But Turby's here. This is one of your main brands, Turby's?
Yeah, it is. We have 2 products right now. We have a product called Ancient Sun Vodka, and we have Slave Fort Moonshine. I'm just happen to be carrying around our new products. These are all launching literally as we speak.
So that hasn't launched yet. And what is this exactly?
Okay, Turby's is a 2-year bourbon, which is a little bit young for a bourbon. However, we have a proprietary process. We're collaborating with a fellow named Joe Turbyville, and his father used to do this in the mountains of Tennessee. So we kind of took that story, and it reads on the back of the big bottle. But bottom line is he takes cherry wood, and we actually take some cherry wood staves, and we have a process by which we flavor the bourbon in its late stages of, typical bourbon ages 4 years in an oak cask, and then it's barrel aged, and that's typically the market standard in Kentucky. For premium bourbon. We have a 2-year bourbon here that's got some cherry staves involved, and it produces a flavor that's just incredible. So people are telling us to launch it. So that's what we did.
I know that from brands like Woodford, which is a very famous brand, that some people can go to Woodford and spend money to purchase their own barrel, which it may produce a certain amount of bottles that they get and however they brand it. But you actually will co-brand, and I think this is some of what you're doing with Mad Monkey. I want to talk about this with Wes, but you've got this cinnamon whiskey here called Enfuego. So is this where you sort of private label a bourbon with another partner?
Yeah, what we choose to call it is a collaboration. It's not really a private label in the sense that it's our product. Wes essentially is the thrust behind it, though. We wanted to do a cinnamon whiskey. We'd just been talking about it, and Wes and I, Wes is also owns barrels in our distillery. So we were just talking, and he was like, I'm launching this company, Mad Monkey, and I'll let him talk about that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I love the name. I love his approach. I love him. So I really think this. I thought this is gonna be.
Now is this supposed to be like a fireball? Is that what this?
Yeah,
that's what this
I'm not allowed to say that word. But
well, I can say it. I'm hosting the show. I can say whatever I want. Do you think the people at home would like to see if I would?
Give it a shot.
They probably would.
Give it a shot.
They want to see you smiling.
I know there are people behind the camera that want to see me do a shot on here. So all right, I'll take a little taste here.
Yeah.
Wow, that's smooth.
Smooth.
That is really good. I'm going to say, for the record, because I don't work for any of these companies, better than Fireball. Better than Fireball.
Thank you.
So this is not what Mad Monkey does, right?
That wasn't our first.
It's pretty good, by the way.
It is really good.
Thanks.
In fact, talking about that real quick, I told Kevin step 1. I said, step 1, I want people to drink it and not have to grimace to drink it. If you've ever drank our competitors.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
Wes, I had Mad Dog 2020 at some time, so I did. I grimaced when I drank that.
You were like, woo! And I just didn't want that. I wanted it to be a smooth, easy, and fun. That was kind of our whole process. Smooth, easy, and fun. And that's kind of what we did with Mad Monkey.
So where did this Mad Monkey originate? Because I know you have a huge background and experience in wealth management and the finance business. What decided to get you to start a brand like Mad Monkey? And what are you building?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was with my daughter one day shopping and I couldn't find what I wanted to wear. I think a lot of folks can probably sympathize with the fact that you're out there and you can't find what looks good on you. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to make my own brand, make my own clothing that fits me perfectly. And then if it goes somewhere great, she goes, well, Dad, what are you going to call it? And I literally sat there for a second. I said, I'm going to call it Mad Monkey. And she goes, where'd that come from? I'm like, I don't know. And so subsequently, Mad Monkey was born. And so now we're in the process of, we've got our website, madmonkeysport.com, which currently we're doing what we call Golf Monkey. So we've got polos and hats and golf grips and things of that nature. And we're evolving into other areas where we're going to be doing Outdoor Monkey. If you like to hunt, you're going to have garments and that kind of thing for hunting. If you like to fish, we're going to have Hooked on Monkey. If you like to wakeboard and skateboard and surf and these different activities, go to trail riding on UTV, we're going to have Skate Monkey and Wake Monkey and Trail Monkey and these different evolutions, you know what I mean? And basically it all stemmed from things that I really like to do. And I noticed that other people like to do it as well. So
there was a Ben & Jerry's brand called Chunky Monkey.
Exactly.
You may have to collaborate with them.
And I was chunky at the time I did this. So.
And this actually, both you guys may be able to talk about this, but I know because I built a lot of brands as well, that one of the challenges, and this recently happened with Tiger Woods in the golf business because he was in a lawsuit over his Sunday Red and the logo of the tiger.
Yeah.
And so when you logo out a monkey, and I've seen the logo on the shirts, did you have to trademark anything here, or is it trademarking just the logo or the name? And I'd be curious how that works on some of these brands in the whiskey business.
It's a great question because the first step one for me was come up with the concept. Step two was come up with the logo, and then I went right to trademark on it. So I trademarked both the logo itself, and we're in the process of trademarking the name.
But that logo of that monkey is only trademarked in what? Apparel?
So apparel, accessories, as well as beverages and spirits.
Really?
Yeah. And so then we've got also the name Mad Monkey. We've logoed, and we've got a particular print that we use, which will actually be on the bottles when we get the final stage set. We've also trademarked that, and we're trademarking it on brands in terms of like garments, accessories, as well as beverages.
But a lot of owners make that mistake. It might cost you $5,000 or $10,000.
It's worth it.
Or more in some cases, but if you don't protect it, you're going to have an even bigger legal fight down the road. Is the same true in the way you did the bourbon? Like when you do something like Turby's, do you have to apply for a trademark every time on that brand?
Yes. I mean, okay, so we made the decision, as we were talking earlier, that we don't brand after our distillery. Our distillery is Southern Kentucky Distillery, but yet we have all these brands. And by happenstance, we wanted to name, we had all these ideas for product names. And so we took the harder route, and we're labeling everything separate. We're doing product stories. It's all concept marketing. It's fun, but it's stressful in the sense that now you got to have a team to sell this, you got to have a team to sell this, and all your value propositions are different versus, say, a distillery that just has one product, and it's just that brand, that's their distillery name. They don't even think about it, whereas we think a lot about it. So, but to your question, yes, the first step, and I use a firm, a great firm in Atlanta, and it's just our process. When we're usually these ideas come up over a beer, or you're sitting around and you're doing this, and you're like, I like this name, I can't tell you how many times to make 5 products. I guess we've sent 50 emails about, hey, what about this name? What about this name? And the best thing you could have at that point of the whole juncture is honesty. You don't want to get in a situation where you're 2 or 3 years down the road, you started building this beautiful brand, and then you have an infringement, and and be honest with yourself, and you look at it and you're like, that's an infringement. I'd hate to be on that side.
The moment you get that cease and desist letter, it's no fun. I want to ask you, I think the apparel business, it's a brutally tough space.
It is.
So when you're making the apparel, are you doing it all in China? Is it all in the United States?
Yeah, it's both. So first step was, and for those of you out there that might want to start an apparel brand, the biggest thing is the research behind it, like to figure out like who you're going to work with, because you have to work with an outsourced company, in my opinion, because the language barrier.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so I've got a company called Outsource ID out in California that I use, and basically they're a go-between between me and the factory in China. And so they speak to the factory on my behalf. And I'll tell you, I looked to make everything in the United States. I wanted to make everything in the United States, but to make a simple concept prototype shirt, it was almost $2,000 to make one shirt.
Wow.
In China, it's $140. And you get as many go backs as you want. And so what's interesting about this is we try to be very meticulous in the process. So I wanted to control every aspect of that shirt. I wanted to make sure the collar was right, the sleeves were not too long, that they fit the arm correctly, that you didn't look like you had string bean arms and a big, no one likes that. I don't care how big or small you are. And I also didn't want the shirt to look like when you're jumping out of an airplane, you're in a parachute. Like it's just one of these shirts that's super big. And so we did everything from soup to nuts, length, width, all the dimensions, the double tap, all the different things that we did. We wanted to do it and make the shirt, quality. We also wanted to make it affordable.
Same with the golf grips. The golf grips.
Golf grips, yeah. It took me months to find the manufacturer. And there's a lot of companies that make very similar golf grips to that. But
so let's just take apparel golf grips, right? If you're going in the golf world, are you looking to try to cut a deal directly with Golf Galaxy or the PGA Superstore? Are you better trying to acquire customers online by building a pay-per-click or a digital strategy?
Yeah.
How do you build customers in that business?
It's tough. So basically what we're doing right now is we're using, both word of mouth and certain marketing strategies that we've got. Obviously, PGA Store, I've tried you. I'm going to keep trying you.
Yeah.
We're on you, PGA Store.
You need some Mad Monkey in there.
We talked to a bunch of, I went and interviewed a bunch of their employees, and they're like, we buy our golf grips from Golf Galaxy because they have no color opportunity, no color choices here at PGA. Right. They're all black and red. And so we've got orange, blue, red, black, baby blue, pink. We've got all different kind of colors that we're trying to, think about golf as an example. As you look good, you feel good, you might play good, And so we thought that if we can look good, we can feel good, then we're going to play good. And one of our slogans,
well in something like Super Stroke or whatever, maybe they have the oversized grips for
they've
putters.
Crushed it.
They've done really well.
They've done really well. They've crushed it. In fact, I've got a Super Stroke on my putter.
Yeah.
So
the strategy here, though, is that a branded grip you think will be more appealing to the consumer, and then maybe the shirts with it would be something else.
Yeah, and our stuff fits great. It's functional. You can wear it. I wanted something too. You can wear it at the golf course and you can wear it to work. So effectively, you can wear it with a sport coat if you want to because the collar's so fine, it stands up.
Right.
You start the golf game, you end the golf game, you look the same. A lot of times you look thrown away when you're done playing golf.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're sweaty and
maybe
you've had a few shots.
Travis Matthews done pretty well, right?
Done great.
In that, you can wear this almost anywhere. I think more than other brands because ones like Peter Millar got a little bit snobby.
They did,
and, people don't wear it as much. But Travis Matthews seems to hit it mainstream. And that's
what we're trying to do too. We're trying to be a mainstream brand. Right now we've got solid prints. One of the things they get on the green space, you want to have print colors and whatnot. I thought that I wanted to have solids because it's hard to find a solid golf shirt out there and that looks good and wears well. And so we did navy with pink, we did silver with pink, we did black and white, we did black and royal. We're going to do some really unique coloring with a solid.
Do you need an endorser? Do you need one celebrity influencer to be able to make it work?
I think that's important, and we're working on that now. We've had a few younger golfers that have taken our stuff on the road, like APGA players and some other players like that. But so we think that having an endorsement from someone, whether it be someone starting in the golf arena or up mid, I don't know that we're yet ready to do.
And how do you handle inventory in the business? Is everything just in time? You can build it that way through, or you've got to actually store inventory? Yeah,
you got to store inventory. The thing about what I've done with working with China or overseas, you're going to end up having a lead time of probably 7 to 8 months in some cases for a single garment. And so sometimes you can be quicker. Like right now we've got the cut built, so now we can make things faster.
Right.
But when you're doing that first cut, it can take. So if you're doing a winter program, you need to be thinking about that in summertime. Or earlier springtime maybe. Start thinking about your winter, your winter garments. And then if you're thinking about your summertime garments, you need to be thinking about that at the beginning of fall. So you need to be thinking about these things because of the lead time to get these things made. So you've also got to be forward thinking in terms of what's going to be hot, what's going to be good. So the retail space is really difficult. But we think that with the branding with Mad Monkey and Fuego, the cinnamon whiskey that we put out, we think that'll be a catalyst, helping us sell the retail.
It's a tough space, but if you can break through, it's like energy drinks or anything else. There's so many of them, but if you can bust through somewhere, you can really make a difference. How do you guys think about it as you scale your business in general about keeping labor and retention and keeping good people on staff? Because I feel like, unemployment's around 4%. It's still very competitive out there. What do you do as a company to try to attract and retain the right employees?
That's a great question.
Well, I'll be honest. We built a team. We're very fortunate for the people we have at our distillery right now. And they're fat, magnificent folks. Everybody takes the sales process seriously. Everybody, even in the bottling area, everybody in the distillation area, we give tours every day. I think to answer your question I've always believed that compensation is important. Obviously, we got to eat, we have to do things, but that gets you about 80% there. I think there's still 20% of the job that we can control, or every business owner can control. make it a good environment. Listen to your
Right.
employees. We probably,
Culture.
culture.
The
Yeah,
culture.
just try to, they're part of the team. We couldn't do, we're so lean right now. I mean, we're lean in meat, I like to say, but everybody is so important. I mean, and we train them, they train themselves actually. Everybody's trained. We're kind of going through this journey together. And as a startup, 3 or 4 years old, if we lost any of them, it would be dire. It would hurt our business. So, we really do care about them in the truest sense of the word. And we all have, we all bond through, we all have things we like to do. We live near lakes. We share a lot of things outside of the business. And we have a Christmas party coming up this weekend, so that's going to be exciting. We have some fun stuff going to happen there. But no, I think just creating a good environment, showing them, doing organization charts, making sure everybody knows what their job is, instead of everybody being responsible for everything. People could see areas of growth if they know exactly what they're supposed to do and what they're responsible for. So it's a complex question, really, when you break it down. But I think you can't just, in my life, I don't necessarily want the employee that you could just buy. I like the guy or the gal that comes in, cares about your business. It really wants your job,
right?
So I don't know.
Guys, this is fascinating stuff. For people watching the program today, before we wrap up, how can they learn more about Mad Monkey?
Yeah, go to madmonkeysport.com, and you can see all the great things that we've got. Read a little bit about our story.
And Kevin, how can they learn about the distillery?
Same, skdistillery.com, and we're very active on Facebook and Instagram. So.
Yeah, and folks, I don't know, you start off your new year here, or when you're watching this program, it may be time to help out both brands and get some En Fuego cinnamon whiskey. I vouch for it, so that means it's probably pretty good stuff. You can take my word for it. Thanks, guys, for coming on the program today. Fascinating businesses, continued success to you. And listen, this is what America is all about, and America's Small Business Network. You can get up any day that you want in America, decide to take that risk and start a business, but you got to do it right. Think about the trademarks, how you incorporate the business, how you're going to scale it, and maybe you too can exit stage left one day. I'm Ted Jenkins, your host of The Roadmap.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Ted Jenkins.